All right, we're live. I hope everyone can hear. I'm going to start off by saying Kal Halalim La Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who rule well, who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings unto you, hopeful elect out there, or the elect. All right, coming back once again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Racha HaKodash. This is going to, as the title says, the original crime family. All right, or really the original crime family of Europe. Let me just check the sound if all right. So so let's start off with this is from an article reading reading guide from the Vatican Princess. All right, author C.W. Gortner. Okay, so you can type this in. This is from Penguin Random House Canada. All right, you can type it in Google and find it. So it says, centuries after their spectacular rise and fall, the Borgias continue to enthrall historians, filmmakers, and novelists alike. They are perhaps the most famous, if misunderstood, family in history. Their grisly deeds and glamorous personalities given rise to a myth that can be traced to the lack of information we have about what went on behind their closed doors. Of the Borgia, Lucretia's plunge, which Lucretia Borgia, she was the sister of Caesar, right? Cesare. It says Lucretia's plunge into a maelstrom of political intrigue in 15th century Rome has arguably made her the most controversial. She's known as the quintessential femme fatale, luring men to death with her arsenal of poisons, and reputed to be the lover of both her father and her brother Cesare, which is why when we bring out this family, when we speak about this family, we speak about them in a despicable way because they were despicable, right? And what you're going to find out whenever you read about or you try to read about the history, right, the history of the Borgias, you're going to have a lot of historians trying to downplay the wickedness that they were involved in, the wicked acts that they committed, right? They're basically going to try to refute those claims and try to make it seem as if the Borgias were another so-called just noble Renaissance family. But they were, first of all, when you read about the Borgias, right, their ancestors were fighting the Moors, right, right. They were fighting the Moors. They were helping conquer lands for the Edomites, right? Even though that they claim that they're Italian or they're Catholic, right? When you fully understand the Borgias, you understand that they were Amalekites, right? And I'm not going to say who that is, all right, because we're in a different time now, all right? We can't say certain things online, but for the brothers in the know, you know who Amalek is. Um, it says, how much of her sordid reputation is true? Was Lucretia a fiend or a scapegoat? And the word fiend, when you look it up in the etymology, it means a demon. All right, that's why when you guys are fiending for your nicotine, your cigarettes, your drugs, all right, that's a demon on you. Lucretia was only 12 when her father Rodrigo Borgia ascended the Holy See as Pope Alexander VI. It was 1492, a pivotal year that witnessed Queen Isabella of Castile's defeat of the Moors in Spain and the dispatching of Columbus to discover a new world. Like Isabella, the Pope was Spanish. Again, that's another, just like today, you got Edomites saying, oh, I'm French, I'm Russian, I'm English, I'm this and I'm that, right? That's the moniker that they went under because guess what? They conquered that land of Spain, which was known as the Iberian Peninsula, right? Iberian means Hebrew. The Borgias or Borgias were a prominent family from Valencia who'd fought for the Spanish crown of Aragon during the Moorish Crusades, as I stated, right? That's a little bit more to find that kind of information because there was actually a man, I forget his name, I think he was a predecessor to Alexander. But anyway, it says Rodrigo Borgia, destined to enter the priesthood, earned a doctorate in divine law in Bologna. At the age of 26, he went to Rome under the auspices of his maternal uncle, Pope Calixtus III, who appointed him as vice chancellor of the church. Such nepotism was common in the hallowed halls of the Vatican, and Rodrigo proved adept, working for his uncle and subsequent popes while amassing a fortune and earning a reputation for genial ruthlessness before he finally won the see for himself. The Borgias were detested by many, including the conspiring families who dominated Italy's fractured landscape, all of whom craved the Vatican's power for themselves. And you have to envision yourself at that time period. It wasn't just the Borgias. You had other Edomites coming up, other prominent Edomites, right? One family is a family called the Orsini family, right? When you look up the Orsini family, right, that was a family that they can trace their lineage, I believe, back to Augustus or the Caesars. I'm not sure which Caesar, but for some reason Augustus comes in my mind. But they can trace back their lineage, and that's a top elite family to this day that's ruling, right? The part of the what people call Illuminati, right? The Orsini. So you had a bunch of different Edomite families back then, right? And guess what? They were looking at the Borgias because they were doing the most wickedness. They were the heinous ones, and they got to the top, right? They got to the top through committing a bunch of wicked acts, and that should show you also that they're Amalek, because it says Numbers, right? The prophecy. Let's get that actually, right? Just so I got it. I bring it out. This is Numbers. It's in 24, I think. Yeah, Numbers 24 and 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable, right, which is a wise saying, a saying that's not easily understood, right? Basically a prophecy, and said Amalek was the first of the nations, right? But his latter end shall be that he perish forever. That's why in another scripture mentions the least of them shall draw them out. Let me see if I can find that thing that's in Jeremiah. Uh, yeah, this is Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom. Right now, Amalek is a descendant of Esau, right? But he's one of the sons or descendants that that excelled everybody else, and he was the least. All right, he's the least of the people. All right, it says, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Teman today is who? The Germans, right? The Germans are the heart and center of the industry of Esau, right? More or less the mind of Esau. That's Teman, right? You talk about automobiles, all kinds of industry, all kinds of machinery, right? Um, 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 Ingenuity, so to speak. A lot of these uh, so-called SS scientists from World War II, right? When Germany lost, Russia and U.S., they were fighting tooth and nail to get those scientists. That was a thing called Project Paperclip. When you look it up, right? They were fighting tooth and nail to get Teman, them Temanites, them Germans, for their mind. Surely, right, this is the point, Jeremiah 49 and 20. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The least of the flock is these Amalekites, man. Right? They became the first of the nation, of all the nations. It says back in the article, Rodrigo was envied for his suave political maneuvering and rapacious taste for opulence in women. He was one of the few popes who was open about his appetites, and of course, he was exoriated for his foreign blood. The fact that a Spaniard had won the papacy over various Italian-born cardinals, each as scheming as him, did not sit well among his rivals, but Borgias was adored by the people, and his favored children, Juan, Cesare, Lucrezia, and Geoffrey, were allocated roles in his elaborate gambit to forge a dynasty that would succeed him. His ambitions were not uncommon to his era, yet those too were cited as proof of his venality. Okay. Um, they try to downplay that this dude slept with his daughter, but he did sleep with his daughter, and that's a big thing in Amalek's world, man. Incest, right? Let's see. I'm gonna try to highlight some of these points. Let's go to that was a little brief introduction. Okay, but let's go to this other article about certain acts that they were doing. Right. This is from where is this from? Toxic Sage Journals under Toxicology in the Borgia's period. Okay, so down here it says here, centuries later in Renaissance Italy. Now, what does Renaissance mean? For the brothers in the know, you should know. Renaissance means what? A rebirth. Okay, a rebirth of what? The rulership of these Edomites. Let's go to Revelation 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Right, that bottomless pit represents Europe. Right, when you have a chain and you have a key, right, that means you can lock something or unlock something. Right, so it's representing captivity, servitude. Right, because these devils, these Edomites, they were the true serfs. Right, they called them serfs, or they called them Slavs, which is where the word slave came from. All right, today you have Western Slavs and you have Eastern Slavs, Slavic people. Well, those are the original slaves. And he laid hold, verse 2, on the dragon, that old serpent, right, which is going into the Roman Empire. But the Romans came from who? They're the devils, man. They come from Esau, but then even before Cain, of the wicked one, right? And they have that spirit of the serpent, man, Satan, which is the devil, and Satan, right? Devil means deceiver, Satan means adversary, and bound him 1,000 years. What time period did that start, right? What time period was the 1,000 year period? It was from around 325 AD to 330, right? Because that was the time of the Council of Nicaea, okay? To around 1325, 1350 is when the decline of the Israelites in Europe started to happen, because when you look up different plagues of Europe, mainly two main plagues, the bubonic and pneumonic. But when you look up the main plagues, they happen around 1325 to 1350. So that would reckon 1,000 years, right? And you already know what happened in the 1400s. Esau already came up very bold. Verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years shall be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So what was this man's job? This man's job was to what? Deceive you, man. Let's look up that word deceive, actually, because that's actually a good word in the Greek.
Strong's G 4105, planao. Planao.
Planao, which means to cause to stray, to lead astray, lead aside from the right way, to go astray, wander, roam about. Metaphor, to lead away from the truth. Simple. So this man's job was to lead people away from the truth. So they turned the scriptures into what? Oh, that's just fairy tale nonsense, right? You know, oh, the Bible, oh, there's no God, right? Then they came up with the Big Bang, which the Big Bang theory was actually created by a Catholic Jesuit, a Jesuit priest. All right, check that out. All right, down here it says deceive, seduce, wander. So they used witchcraft, and that was their job, man. That's what this devil's job was. So it says here back in the article, centuries later, in Renaissance Italy, poisoning was at its height, prepared by physicians, alchemists, and pharmacists. Now that pharmacy goes into what? Goes into witchcraft, man. Right? It says alchemists and pharmacists, poisons were employed by wealthy families under the impulse of lust, avarice for power. Murder in political circles became so frequent that nobody believed in the natural death of popes, cardinals, and royalty. Many of these poisons originated from the so-called three kingdoms of nature: animals, plants, and minerals, and included snake venom, cantharides, aconite, belladonna, strychnine, corrosive sublimate, arsenic, and others. The use of poison is also mentioned in several passages in the archives of the Venetian Council of Ten, one, hold on, one of the major governing bodies of the Republic of Venice from 1310, again, from 1310. During those times was the time when we were falling. We were dropping like flies, actually, right? Because those plagues from around the early 1300s, as I stated, 1325 and 1350 onwards, basically two-thirds of Europe fell from those plagues, right? And then after that, you had Esau, of course. Even before that, you had Esau coming up in the ranks. We were marrying their daughters, giving our daughters to them, and they were taking our names and our crests and coat of arms, and that's how they got up in there. So by the time the plagues took out the majority of Jake, it was a walk in the park for Esau to just come through, right, and assume the new nobility, right? So it says, it is it is of interest that the entry concerning the extermination of Sultan Mehmed II, 1432-1481, contains the following, quote, 9th July 1477, decision, the offer made by Salamon Sino and his brothers of procuring death of the Emperor of the Turks through the care of Master Valcho was accepted. In the same way, the council ordered in 1450 the poisoning of Count Francesco Sforza. They were planning to use a poison in the form of balls, which, when placed in the fire, would produce toxic fumes, provoking the instantaneous death of all those who were near the fireplace. And this is what we tell you: Esau's a dangerous. He's a sword, man. He's nothing to play with. That's why when you Gadites got taken over, who shall pity a charmer that is bitten of a snake? You're gonna play with a snake and think it's all fun and games until what? He bites you, man. This man he's nothing but a sword, right? You don't play with a sword. You don't just grab the sword and, oh, I'm gonna play fight, right? That thing will cut you and it might kill you, right? It says this period in history was marked by intrigue and poisoning attempts of the Borgia family, the most infamous family of Renaissance Italy. And that's why I keep stating that fact. Oh, how do you know they were Amalek? That's a thing through the spirit, man. We're letting you know. He got up in there fast. And then after that, which was ended of 1400s, this is 1500s. Then you had a few centuries later, you had the Rothschild family, man, who they weren't Rothschilds. They changed their name to Rothschild. They were known as Bowers, which is a servant, man, right? And that goes into let's get that real quick, right? Ecclesiastes, what is that? 10. Shalom to the brothers on the comment board and the brothers watching. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Chakodash Barakatam. Right, this is Ecclesiastes. Hold on. So Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and 7. I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, right? So these devils, man, they're the original servants, right? But they're on horses, which represents power, might, right? Rulership. So it says, all right, dealing with the Borgias, their name became synonymous with cruelty and corruption. And even if frequent or slacky, even if current historians are attempting to acquit them, why are they attempting to acquit them? Same reason why they have an anti-defamation league. Same reason why they anything you say against these devils, they'll silence you. right? They might put you in jail, they might fine you. It's the same story, right? This was a low life family, man. Okay, and you got these devils trying to honor them and try to say, oh no, no, they weren't that bad. It says the Borgia's legend remains fascinating, originating from the Borgia town in Valencia, Spain. The Borgias became prominent in political and ecclesiastical cycles during the 15th and 16th centuries. Among their illustrious members were two popes, Calixtus III (1378 to 1458) and Alexander VI (1431 to 1503), as well as the illegitimate children of Alexander VI, Cesare Borgia, the major inspiration for Niccolo Machiavelli's famous work The Prince, and the renowned political schemer Lucrezia Borgia. Due to the actions of these two children, the family name remains associated with greed, power, lust, and murder. The Borgias specialized in disposing of cardinals, bishops, and nobles by using several kinds of poison, including arsenic, strychnine, uh, cantharidin, and aconite, incorporated in drinks, clothes, gloves, books, pages, flowers, and drugs. It is said that the Borgias selected and laid down rare poisons in their cellars with as much thought as they gave to their vintage wines, man. This is a damn sword. That's why, look, it said this in the book of Psalms, right? Psalms 36 and 4. He deviseth mischief upon his bed, meaning, look, this man goes to sleep thinking, he wakes up thinking, what can I do? How can I scheme? What kind of poison can I administrate? What kind of lie? What kind of mischief, basically, right? He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. So I'm gonna read that quote again. It is said that the Borgias selected and laid down rare poisons in their cellars with as much thought as they gave to their vintage wines. You take care of your vintage wines, man. Them things are precious. That's how much care they took for these poisons, man. Because their mind is what? Their mind is their sword. Point blank. Period, man. It says the ideal poison should be reliable, effective, deceptive, and slow acting, but strong enough to kill the victim. It has been suggested that all these properties were accumulated in a secret poison used by the Borgias, the cantarella, a variation of arsenic, the composition of which remains unknown. A primary reason for the popularity of arsenic as a poison was that it has no flavor or odor, and when mixed into food or drink, it is tasteless, man. And the Most High was working with these devils, man. That's how they took over this shit. The Most High had to work with these devils. He had to give them this knowledge, and they excelled other Edomites to become the first of the nations, man. Right? This is the Most High's doing. He had to set it up this way, right? Because these are mighty men. These are men that can fight you, right? It says it seems that cantarella was a complex mixture containing arsenic combined with alkaloids of putrefaction emitted by organic substances in the later stages of decay. Let's see. According to the desire of the murder, Cantarello could kill in a day, a month, or a year. It is also believed that Cantarello is so powerful that no antidote existed. It was said that victims presented with a variety of symptoms included confusion, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea, which could mimic several diseases, right? So they can blame it and say, "Oh no, no, he was already sick and he did this." But guess what? People caught on, and that's why these rumors keep going on about the reputation of this family, that they're greedy, they're murderous, they're lustful, they're deceptive, they're unjust, right? And then you have devils hiding information, so then other scholars can say, look, there's no evidence to prove any of this, right? But we know that not to be the case, man. All right. It says, moreover, it seems that Pope Alexander VI and his son Cesare accidentally fall victims to Cantarella poisoning. Alexander died, but his son recovered after entering into the body of a dead horse, an ancient belief mentioned by the Italian physician Girolamo Mercurial, sustaining that entering the body of a dead animal warded off the effects of the poison. Another mystery surrounding Cantarella is its name. Well, that's dealing with just the poison. Regardless of its origin, of the name of the poison and its composition, Cantarella became synonymous with the murders of the Borgias or the Borgias, and its poisonous power is summarized in the Renaissance Italian black humor. Quote, if you want to live, don't dine with the Borgias, and few who have dined with the Borgias have lived to tell of it. Few. He said, if you want to live, don't have dinner with the Borgias, man. You know? So I'm gonna quote it again. It says, this is the quote dealing with the Borgias. If you want to live, don't dine with the Borgias, and few who have dined with the Borgias have lived to tell of it. Toxicology has evolved from an art of poisoning to one of the basic sciences essential for improving human well-being and environmental health. Shalom to the elder from North Carolina. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Chakudash Barakatah. All right, so let's go into this book. The last part of this lesson is called The Borgias by Marion Johnson. All right, and I'm going to read from page 156. I'm going to jump around. It says, as crime continued to thrive in Rome, so did the Borgias, the great the great beneficiaries of a criminal papacy, right? And that word criminal, where does that word criminal go back? That's why I titled this lesson The Original Crime Family. And it's really the original crime family of Europe, or New Europe, or better yet, Renaissance Europe, right? Criminal goes back to crimson, which basically denotes red. All right, that's why the Rothschilds, they name themselves Rothschild, man. Roth is synonymous with red. Okay, that it really means red. Roth means red. Child, it can mean it means a child, right? But it's also what's that word? Synonymous, or there's a different word, interchangeable, right? That's that word. Child is interchangeable with shield, Rothschild. That's what they're also known as, Rothschild. Basically, the red children, right? The Rothschild. Down here it says the story of his revelry runs through the pages of Johann Burchard's diary. How the Duke of Valentino set up a bull ring in the piazza of St. Peter, and from horseback slew 5 bulls with the lance and severed the neck of a 6th with one blow of his sword. All right, so this is dealing with the Borgia family. Down here, page 1, what is this, 57? No, let me go here. Let me go right here. Hang on. 1 second. Yeah, this is the page 162, right? So it says, at first Cesare was indisposed. He sent the envoy, gifts of wine, grain, poultry, candles, and 2 boxes of sugared almonds, but he was suffering from the recurrent malady of syphilis and could not be disturbed. And you can only guess as to why this man had syphilis. All right. Cesare liked to turn day into night, going to bed in the dawn hours and starting work in the early evening. Right, page 163. Despite the setback at Faenza, it was clear to Italy that the Duke of Valentinois was a prince in the making, and he began to attract to Cesena those indispensable acolytes of the great Renaissance lord: scholars, artists, sculptors, craftsmen, and all those who labored to enhance the temporal glory of great men. They want to make themselves great. It says, the duties of this prince were manifold. He had government to attend to, art to encourage. Now, the art, as you see here, this is a sketch. I'm about to show it in the highlight. It says portrait sketches of Cesare by Leonardo da Vinci after the fall of Milan and of his patron Ludovico il Moro, Leonardo found employment with Cesare as his chief engineer, his main tasks being to supervise fortifications. Now, this image right here is like the blueprint to what people know as Jesus Christ, Jesus, baby, right? Tell me this does not look like the pictures you see right now, but this is literally right before. These are when brothers tell when I first heard the apostles say this, that Leonardo da Vinci was involved in it, right? This is the information right here, man. They're telling you he was employed by the Borgias, man. All right, and that was that image over here. All right, brothers putting up scriptures. Elder here it says John 10:10, the thief cometh not before to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly, man. Right? Because from the time that these devils came out from the caves, what were they doing? We just read in Revelation 20. He came to deceive, man. Right? His whole job was to deceive all nations. And when you look up that word deceive in the Greek, basically means what? To stray from the right way, right? To stray from the truth. So this is one of those ways that, first of all, they deceived the whole world with this image right here, man. Right? They deceived the entire planet. You know, Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn, man. And you're seeing all these hurtful works today with children being told that, oh, you can change your sex. Being prepubescent, you can change your sex, man. All right. Hold on. These women now, right? They want to be equal, right? But now they're complaining about tampon prices, man. Oh, I can't afford my feminine products. So this man's whole job was to what? To lead people astray, man, and he has done that perfectly because he is the sword of the Most High. So page 166 in the same book, it says Cesare was now poised for another predatory flight, and in the meantime seemed to rule his father with such sinister intent that Romans imagined their pope to be possessed by a succubus. Virulent, virulent pamphlets utterly damned Alexander and his offspring. Quote, and this is what the pamphlet said, these are the days of Antichrist. I can't make this up, man. This is what the pamphlet said. Right, you can read it in the highlight right there. Okay, so this is what they were saying back then. These are the days of the Antichrist, right? Now we know that there's not one Antichrist, there's many, right? Anti-Mashiach, anti-Yahushai, right? This whole world is in the spirit of Antichrist, right? So these are the days of the Antichrist. His enemies proclaim to the world, quote, the bestiality and savagery of Nero and Caligula are surpassed. And who's Nero and Caligula? These devils' ancestors, man. They came from the same people, the Romans, right? He said the bestiality and savagery. So what were they doing, man? They're all doing all kinds of filthiness. If you read about Caligula, if you've seen that movie Caligula, there's an old school movie. I don't know if they still have it on YouTube. That's a degenerate ass movie, man. Caligula was a real degenerate, but they just said all that is surpassed by the Borgias. Rodrigo Borgia is an abyss of vice, a subverter of all justice, human or divine. Right? So why would people talk about that family back then like this? Right? It can't be just for clear propaganda, which is what these scholars so wish it to be, right? It's because all the works that they were doing back then, people caught wind of it, you know. But as they say, history is written by the victor, right? So we know that all this is for naught. I'm going to read a few of these scriptures and then close up. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? We just showed you that picture right there, right? When you deal with Renaissance art, you're dealing with iconoclasm. You're dealing with the breaking of images, and then they set up their own images, right? Was that First Maccabees? Was that 348? Right? Yeah, First Maccabees 348, and laid open the book of the law, which this is the law right here, right? The 1611 Apocrypha, all the Torah, the Tanakh, right? Wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images, right? And that's what you're dealing with the Renaissance Renaissance art, you know, Ecclesiasticus 14:5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods, right? And these devils, like we're bringing all the history. There, Rodrigo Borgia, he was sleeping with his damn daughter, man. The daughter was sleeping with the brother. All kinds of wickedness, man. And these are these great top people that you read about during the Renaissance. Anyway, I hope you're edified with that. I want to say, Kal halalim la Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well and that teach well, all right, who I learned this truth from. Shalom to the brothers and elders on the common boards, the water for the precepts. All right, I hope you're edified. Till next time, shalom.